Yo, what's going on, guys? Me, Count23, back to the video. Today, we're here with some pinpoint pitching tips. We're a few months into the game now, and I think it's fair to say I have a very good understanding of how this works. And for those that have not tried it out yet, or are still trying to learn it and master it, hopefully this video can help you out. So pinpoint was introduced this year, and as you can see, it's got a ton of different kind of motions. It's unlike anything else we've had, where every pitch you throw, you have to do something different other than just the same motion over and over again. But by using pinpoint, you're getting yourself an advantage over every other type, and it's just not close. This picture shows it right here. On Hall of Fame, the chance of error on a perfect release is just a lot smaller, so for the competitive advantage, you need to use pinpoint. And the best place to go to practice this is, of course, custom practice. That's how I did it at the start of the year in the alpha. I wasn't even able to get perfects for a while. Getting a perfect was rare. I remember that a while ago, but eventually, it just becomes like muscle memory with everything. So the fastball, of course, is probably the easiest pitch a lot of people don't struggle with. But there's a few things to pinpoint that if you focus on them, it should help you. So the first step to pinpoint is tracing. Now, if you're never sure what you want to do, the game does show you exactly what you should do. So you can see for the circle change, you go up, you go around, and then at the very end, you go down. And you can see I messed it up a little bit, but I still hit my spot because it's Greg Maddux. But with time, these will come much easier to you, but until you have them all down, you might mess them up every now and then, especially something like the circle change, or maybe the splitter, a little bit more complicated compared to like a fastball. But with time, they do become a lot easier for sure. So the next step to pay attention to in pinpoint pitching is the speed that you're tracing with. You could have traced the line perfectly, but if you do it too fast or too slow, it's going to hurt your accuracy. And the best way to, of course, practice this is to make sure you're reading those feedbacks right there. This one happened to be a really good trace, so we get perfect. But a lot of the time on something like a circle change, you'll end up with a early or slow. Right there, we can get a too slow. So you can see at the back end of that circle change, I slowed down. So for the next pitch, I should speed it up. The speed that you have to throw it at, too, also depends on the pitcher's windup, so pay attention to that as well. Some pitchers have a quicker windup, some have a slower one. Pay attention to those circles at the bottom. They are your friend, and they're going to help you a lot. Next, we got the timing at which you're throwing the pitch. This is a super important factor, right? Once you've traced it with a good speed, the flick is a really important part, all right? It's from the top to the bottom, and you really, really want this to be timed up well, because if it's not, it's either going to hang or it's going to dip. If it's early release, it's going to hang in the zone, so it could be like a floated changeup. And if it's late, it's going to drop out of the zone. It could be like a ball four that you wanted to make sure that was a strike. So that's really important. Again, for every pitcher, the timing is different, but you end up using a lot of the same pitchers over and over. So for someone like Greg Maddux right here, pay attention to that circle at the bottom. Right when it gets to its absolute lowest point, that's when you want to flick. And then for the top one, you want to end up at that point right as it gets to its smallest point. You can see right there, I was a little bit too slow to it, so it's going to tell me that. And the accuracy is a little bit off. Same thing goes for the top circle as well. You want to end up in it at its lowest, smallest point, and that'll get you the best release possible. Okay, so let's switch up the pitchers now. Let's go to Billy Wagner and show you guys someone who definitely does not have as much control as Greg Maddux. You can see that little circle around him. That is his, error bubble right there. If I throw a perfect, it could still go anywhere in that bubble. So when I'm going for the fastball right there, it still ends up down the middle. But that's because it was a good. And for pitchers like this, you have to be very careful with pinpoint. The pinpoint itself isn't actually harder, it's just basically how well you're able to dot consistently with your good inputs. You could be putting in the same inputs with Wagner as you do for Maddux, but Maddux is going to dot more than Wagner just because of that control stat. And then the fourth thing that you want to focus on in pinpoint pitching is, of course, your accuracy, right? I mean, it's just a stick skill. A lot of people are used to this from analog, and it's basically just how well can you hit that little circle, right? Assuming you're timing it all perfectly, it's just a matter of how well can you aim your right stick towards that little circle, right? That just comes in time. There's nothing super crazy that you have to do for that one. It's pretty simple. Just hit your spot, and if you've done analog before, you'll pretty much have this skill. Now for some pinpoint tips that I think you guys should probably know. They're pretty helpful. And the first one right here is what you can do at the top of the circle, right? Once you hit the circle, especially for a guy with long windup, you can actually move where the ball is. You don't have to stay in that circle. You can see right there, I actually deviated from the top a little bit. I'll do it again. But you do not need to stay at that top circle. You can move the right stick if there's an easier path for you to flick your thumb to the bottom. So let's do something like a cutter, okay? A cutter is a good example. So let's move up to the top. I can move that ball right there. You can see I had a different angle to it, coming more from the right. Now, obviously, you don't have to do this. It's just something you could do to help you out, potentially, if you're struggling to hit the accuracy there. I don't usually do it, but sometimes I need to. It just makes it easier. Another thing that Pinpoint is good with is catching your own mistakes, actually. So if a card is getting hit around and maybe their confidence isn't too high, you want to be extra careful. And you think you're floating a pitch, but it's too late. You know, you're in the windup. What you can always do is intentionally miss your spot and be late or be early if you want the pitch to float or dip. Usually you want it to dip, though. So you can do something like this, where you could be intentionally late, drops below the zone, just like that, instead of it hanging down the middle. Also, I really recommend everyone does this for their pitching, but if you head to your pitching settings and you go right down here to the ball marker, have Classic on, man. It's much better than that red laser. Classic on gives you these little arrows right here telling you the break that the pitch is going to have. It's extremely helpful, and without it, you're just losing out on information that you wouldn't have, you know what I mean? So you can see the slider has a lot of break, the cutter has a decent amount. It's going to change for each pitcher, so it's important to know. But yeah, those are my general tips for Pinpoint pitching. Those are a lot of the things that I focused on when I was trying to learn it. And I feel like I got it down in about a week or two, honestly. Like, I really started to know what I was doing, was confident in it, and it just became, I wasn't even thinking about it, and I was just hitting perfects. So don't be scared of it. If you really want to, you can play your friend or something. That's a good way to help out. You can do Conquest as well if you want to be productive and not just sit in custom practice. But there's tons of ways to do it. Hopefully these methods helped you out. Any more questions, let me know in the comments. And yeah, catch you guys next one. Peace out.